Spanish Indefinite Articles, un, una, unos, unas. We are going to be learning in this mini lecture how the use of these indefinite articles come together with the verb estar and I. So how do we use all that information in speaking skills in Spanish? So we have learned in the previous lesson that we use the verb estar to talk about something that is definite. So, for example, the boy is in the park. You probably know who that boy is. And if you do not know the boy and you just want to acknowledge, you would just use the verb I. So on the left-hand side of the slide, we've got el coche está en el garaje. The car is in the garage. Notice that I am using the definite article there because probably the person who says this phrase knows what the car, who the car belongs to. It's either their car or it belongs to the family. So they are just saying that the car, I've just arrived home and I have parked the car in the garage. So that's where you can find our car, my car. So they know which car it is and what they are talking about. On the right-hand side, on the other hand, if you do not know whose car it is, you would use the verb I. So let's use the same context. Hay un garaje en el coche. So we are using the singular in this case to say there is a car in the garage. Somebody who says this in Spanish is because they do not know whose car that is. There is a car in the garage. Probably the conversation will go down something like, I don't know who that is, or whose car is it. They do not know whose car it is. And then we have the plural. Hay unos coches en el garaje. So notice I'm using the plural of un coche, and I'm saying unos coches, but the verb to acknowledge stays the same. So it will be the third person of the verb haber to say I. There are some cars in the garage. So I need to use, in this case with the verb I need to use the indefinite articles because what I am talking about, one car or several cars in this case, I don't know whose cars those are definitely. So I'm using the indefinite articles. So notice what the difference is and how all this information works together. You would not be able to use the definite articles with I and indefinite articles with estar. So that will be the takeaway from this mini lesson. And we've got some examples in there that are in contrast with each other. So, for example, el móvil está en la cocina. The mobile is in the kitchen. I know whose mobile it is. I'm maybe talking about mine or somebody else's. If I just want to acknowledge that there is a mobile in the kitchen, I would just say hay un móvil en la cocina. So the verb I with the indefinite article un, because móvil is singular masculine. So all that needs to come together like we've learned in previous lessons. Los estudiantes están en la cafetería. Hay unos estudiantes en la cafetería. La universidad está cerca. Hay una universidad cerca. Las flores están en el jarrón. The flowers are in the vase. Hay unas flores en el jarrón. There are some flowers in the vase. So notice what the difference is. It's very, very similar to the English and how we use the verb to be for location and the verbs there is and there are. So let's recap the use of the verb estar and the verb I. So we've learned that we use the verb estar for physical location, and you do know what you are talking about or the person you are talking about. Yo estoy en casa. I am at home. El niño está en el parque. The boy is in the park. For a state of mind or temporary situation, tú estás triste. You are sad. or for temporary situations or results, so number 2 and number 3 may overlap, but that's okay because the verb or the use of the verb is the same. La puerta está abierta. The door is open. And notice that I've used the definite articles on these examples for el niño and la puerta in this case. And on the right hand side, we've got the verb I, which is to acknowledge. So notice the labels in blue. So those are your uses and how you differentiate those two verbs. I just use the verb I to acknowledge something or someone. And in this case, you would need to use the indefinite articles. Hay un niño en el parque. There is a boy in the park. Hay una universidad cerca. There is a university nearby. Hay unos estudiantes en la cafetería. There are some students in the coffee shop. And hay unas flores en el jarrón. There are some flowers in the vase.